Would you please welcome Billy?
What I'm going to try and do, because the tactics in North Vietnam when I was there was in latter part of 1966, early part of 67. I'll try and encapsulate what it was like for a guy going into that environment. But we were asked as an Air Force to submit to the Department of Defense a priority list of targets. We submitted some 220 of these, I understand, starting with the airfield, as the Air Force should, because our main premise when you go to war is to gain air superiority over the landmass that you're trying to fight for. The first targets we hit were fjords, little crossings of rivers, and we made big holes in the ground. That's the way it started. We lost a lot of people in the North Country doing this silly stuff. And if you can't see with your eye your aim point on the ground, return with the bomb. On an F-105, if you return with your normal bomb load on your belly, that bottom bomb is about 8 inches off the ground, and you're carrying 6 normally load of 650 bombs, 675-pound bombs. And I don't care to have them wobbling between my main gear landing. So as soon as I became a flight commander, because I don't care what your rank is, you're going to fly somebody's wing and maybe a lieutenant's wing until you get your feet wet. As soon as I became a flight commander, I told my guys, those eggs only have a one-way ticket. Someplace you're going to dump them. And if you don't, I'm going to dump you. Do not hit targets that are called JCS targets. These are numbered targets that Lyndon Baines Johnson would have to personally sign off before you could hit that target. If you did hit it and he had not signed it off and they kept you doing it, you would go to Leavenworth. You'd get in deep trouble. Now, accidentally, they would get hit every once in a while. Pilot, an F-105 pilot, flies an airplane that was designed for one thing: to fly fast, to carry a nuclear weapon and an internal bomb bay, go to a target, put it on the target, and get the hell out of there. We had no fighter airplanes in Southeast Asia in 1966 that we could call worth a damn to fight another airplane in the sky. F-4s did not have a machine gun in that aircraft. It was rockets, air-to-air rockets. Now that's great, and if they work, they'll do their job. Unfortunately, it's very easy for 2 MiGs and 2 F-4s to get in a tangle and do kind of like Indians used to do in the Old West. Circle around the wagon, you get a MiG and F-4 and a MiG and F-4, and they go around and around, and nobody can shoot at each other because they've only got air-to-air rockets that are heat seekers, except the MiG has a gun. And he can get in there, and he's not afraid that he's not going to launch a heat seeker because it may hit his buddy. And we can't launch a heat seeker because it may hit our buddy if you're an F-4 driver. Stalemate. Fallacy with that is that as you go from a level flight and pitch up and roll over at the top and go in trail everybody 1, 2, 3. That gunner can hack everybody up here as he's going slow. Lost lots of people that way. That tactic was changed later on, where we rolled in flight. Now the gunner's got to pick out one of 4 airplanes, because they're all coming down at the same time. Just like they're flying formation, but they're dive bombing. MiG tactics. You're going in at 14.5, 15,000, 15.5 and 6. MiG tactics. Set up a racetrack with their radar underneath you, pull up behind you as you pass over the top, pull up, fire an ATOL missile, which is a Sidewinder air-to-air missile, up your tailpipe. Surface-to-air missiles. We were harassed by what they call an SA-2 missile, which looks like a big long telephone pole. We had a vector scope in the cockpit, about 3.5 inches. And we had an audio that we could hear when he went in to search mode, we could hear that. And when he would launch, he went into what they call high PRF, which is a high frequency. And our scope would stroke. One fallacy in this is a quad 50 caliber that had radar on it also had an audio. And then you had 37s that did, 57s, 85s, and 100 millimeter guns. And the first time I went down Thud Ridge, and I reached up and I went, and I turned it off, and I heard her turn it back on again. Your best defense against a SAM missile was your eyeballs. On the side of the missile were 2 little booster rockets for guidance. They burned like neon golf balls, red. You could see those, and you could see them coming up, and you could tell who they were on. If that missile didn't move on your canopy, eventually you're going to collide. So if you see him on you, even with a bomb load, ease your aircraft over. See if the missile would start tracking on you. As soon as you could get him to track on you, I don't know how to explain this, but there's a certain distance and you know when it is, and you put a 4G pull-up, and you do that with your bomb load, and that missile can't pull 4Gs. And you go on to your target. Because that's your mission, to carry those eggs to the target. Not engage MiGs. That airplane's not developed. It can't turn with a MiG. It can't do anything with a MiG. The 2 things it can do is it can go fast and accelerate like you cannot believe. And it can decelerate. One day I was checking on a new squadron commander. I rolled over going to target, trying to tell him where the target was because he couldn't see it. He didn't have his eyes yet. And I was slow on airspeed as I went across the top, so I turned on the afterburner to get some more power. And I forgot about it. Going down, I went through 1.3 Mach. And that shakes everything up in the airplane because you need to put some restrictors in the inlet of your aircraft to stop compressor stalling. Did they try and jam our radios? No, they did not. Why do that? All they had to do was tune in on the frequencies that we used to hit the tankers to go in. And when they heard 4 or 5 different flight call signs come off the tankers, they know the strike coming up there. And by the way, the strikes went in at 10 o'clock in the morning and 3 o'clock in the afternoon. So you sit down and off in and wait between strikes. To my knowledge, they never changed the strike frequency. Ever. Or any other frequency that I'm aware of. KC-135 refuelers were guys with huevos that are so big you can't believe they'd do anything for us. Conversely, they knew we had a written agreement, unwritten agreement. If we ask you to come north of where you're supposed to go, and you do it, and we've used all our iron bombs and all our 20 Mike in that airplane, we'll ram that big. That was the unwritten rule between the tanker drivers and the thud drivers.
See what would have happened if we had permission to bomb the dikes around Haiphong and put the entire rice bowl of
You got it.
North Vietnam
When
under
you sit
salt
down
water.
there and decimate those goddamn ice dikes, rice dikes up there, and mama and son aren't eating good, the guy in the south ain't gonna fight too good. You can't do it. You can't touch the MiG field.
Why could we not hit the MiG fields? I mean, why did he not want that?
Because LBJ thought there were too many Russians. There was a lot of Russians in there.
Yeah.
And he didn't want to get the war to escalate. One of the other things that you could do if a MiG got on you, an ATOL missile, a Sidewinder, air-to-air missile, is a heat seeker. If you're above the clouds and it's a nice sunny day and the sun's up, to get him in a position to where you can pull up into the sun, and if he's behind you with a heat seeker, if you can see him launch it, there's a place, some space in there when he gets near enough, you break off from that and it'll try and go to the sun. I got some notes, and I've got a bad memory, and I'm 80 some odd years old. Iron hand weasel flights. Iron hand wild weasels were F-105s that were SAM hunters. They looked for surface-to-air missiles. Those guys would go in front of us. If I'm a mission commander or a force commander, I would say to the weasel flight, these are the SAM sites that I suspect might have SAMs in them. Keep them down. My philosophy was pick one SAM site. I'm going to overfly it. Don't worry about any other one except that one. And just concentrate your effort on that one. Keep him down. I'll keep the whole force going to the top of it. And those guys had some large waves. And I'm going to fold my tent and say thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you.